Good evening, my name is Jemima Beers, your host for tonight. Tonight we have a very, very important interview with the Minister of Gender. But before we get into that, let's have a look at Thursday's headlines. Erindi not sold. Swapo Shaningwa cracks whip. New rainfall outlook positive. Welcome back. As I've said earlier, today we have a very important interview. Now, as we all know, basic income grant, there's been so many demands over the last few years, with Namibia being labeled the country with the second highest inequality rates in the world. We are looking at the newly announced conditional basic income grant. And to take this apart for us and to make us understand how it will work, we have in studio today Marta Kanyama from the Minister of Gender. She's a chief economist. Thank you for joining us, Martha.
Thank you for having me.
Now, Martha, can you please explain to us what is this new conditional basic income grant?
Okay, the conditional basic income grant is basically a monthly cash grant that targets the poor and the most vulnerable of the society, really just to assist them in meeting their basic need. Mm-hmm. So these programs, it's part of the strategy of HPP2. So HPP2 directed the Ministry of Gender Equality, Poverty and Eradication to first start with converting the food bank and the marginalized program into a cash transfer as a first step to phase in a conditional basic income grant. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Before we go deeper into that, you've mentioned it will look at poor people and vulnerable people. Can you please explain who are going to be these poor and vulnerable people?
Okay, we would obviously share out the detailed criteria, but when you talk about the poor, it's as per the measurements that we are using, NSA, it's based on your earnings. So we would give a detailed criteria to see who would then be classified as most poor and who is basically classified as the most vulnerable. So we go into detail for every specific program, depending on what we are trying to achieve with that specific program.
So what then happens to the food bank if this basic income grant, this conditional basic income grant is introduced?
Okay, like I've stated, what we are now trying to do, when we are going, as a country, we are going to implement the conditional basic income grant on a gradual approach. So what does that mean? We are currently starting with the existing food bank beneficiary. So we are actually transforming that program from the food parcel into a cash transfer. So they will be the first people on the conditional basic income grant. So instead of them getting the food parcel that they would usually get, so we are now they are now going to be on a cash transfer, so they will get a monthly cash to really allow them to meet their basic needs.
Basic needs.
Yes.
Do you have a figure at this point? Please also just for the viewers, for the benefit of the viewers, just tell us what the parcel looked like for the food bank, so that they just understand when you have to translate it into monetary value what it may look like.
Okay, currently the food parcels have the basic needs. That's the soya, and then it have the flour, and then it have sometime it have a tin of fish or so, cooking oil, salt, and then we also put a bar bar there ready for hygiene purposes. So it's quite have a lot of items. So when we did the estimated that the value currently it's sitting at 583.
Is that likely the amount of money that people may get?
Okay, we are still working on the figures, but we would, based on, because this program have to be implemented with the existing budget that we have. So we have to look at the food parcels, and then we also look at the poverty line, what it's saying, so that we see what will be the amount that we are likely to give out.
Now,
but at the moment we are looking at 500.
So how will it? Yes. So you said yes, it will be it will be rolled out the same way as the food bank. But obviously, remember the food bank was piloted in different regions of the country. So how is this going to be different? Because it's not going to be a pilot, or is it still a pilot?
Food bank pilot started in Windhoek.
Yes.
We have already rolled out to all 14 regions.
Yes.
So we are not on a pilot basis anymore. The pilot started in Windhoek, and we have done the rollout already. So what we are saying is, for us to do a gradual conditional basic income grant, we are basically just taking the existing beneficiary that we have on our database for the food bank, and then we put those people into a conditional basic income grant, meaning they are now to receive the cash.
So what if people fell into poverty? What if, say, hypothetically, you or I mean, with COVID, so many people lost their jobs, people were retrenched, companies closed down, and I have fallen below the poverty line, but I was not on that food bank list. What then happens to me?
Yeah, no, that's a very good question. As I have indicated, we are doing a gradual. So maybe let me just go further and explain when are we starting with this gradual first and foremost, and how does the future look for the conditional basic income grant going in the future. So come April this year, 2022, so we would move all the food bank beneficiary into a cash. So however, due to financial constraint, we are not going to take up any new enrollment. This is because we are working with the existing ceiling budget that we have for the program, and this is likely to go on for the next 3 years, because we, as you know, we have a medium-term expenditure framework, and for that whole period, we have a ceiling on the program. We have a cap literally on the program. So now moving in the future, we will again, when you allow me, so that we get to how the future program, how the future will look like in terms of conditional basic income grant, I would again explain to you how we plan to enroll it, to expand it further to other people, and who are these other people that we are talking about.
So just one important thing. Remember, a part of the food that was given to food bank beneficiaries was obviously fish that was donated from some fishing companies. Yeah. So what would happen with these in-kind donations if this is now transferred into a cash payment?
Okay, as a ministry, this is just to go to cash, but as a ministry, we also still have a program that looks at the contribution from the society. So we would again go back to our strengthening that program so that it can take care of this in-kind donation, and then we will be able to give it out to the people that are in need.
How is that done?
Because currently, how the food bank is, it's purely on government. It's on government budget.
Yes.
Whether we got donation or we didn't get donation, the donation item can just be a portion in the parcels, but we have a standard parcel that we give out every month.
Yes.
In absence of any donation.
Yes, of course.
So it just complement our parcels. Yeah. So obviously, now that we are moving from the in-kind to cash, we have to strategize to see how best we then channel out any donation that we are getting.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, you said how it would be rolled out. So as we know, the existing social grants are paid out at post offices. They are paid out even through bank accounts. So how will this one be paid out?
Okay. With the conditional basic income grant, so we will use the existing system that we have in place. So currently we are going to just use exactly the same system that support the paying out of old age disability grant and child grant. So if you look at that system that we're using, we have various mode of payment. Either you go through a commercial bank, it's up to the beneficiary. They can choose to get their money through a commercial bank, non-post cash account, or they can actually through a mobile payment. Yes. So again, this will be the same method that will be available and applicable to the food bank beneficiary when we now move into a conditional basic income grant.
So, are there any models that we are going to benchmark this grant against to make sure it's sustainable in the long run?
Okay. As a ministry or a sector in particular, we are working toward strengthening the efficiency within our safety net. So we're making sure that we strengthen our targeting criteria to really just get people that's supposed to be on those specific grants to be the one to be on those specific grants. So we also work toward continuously monitoring and verification to see if there are improvement in employment status, more especially for programs that the requirement is to do with your income. So as we're speaking, as a ministry, we are working toward developing an integrated information management system. So that system will allow us to do close verification with external system to really verify on a continuously basis the improvement of the status of the employment status of our people. For the people that are on program that require that the criteria is issue of income, if they happen to get themselves employment, then they need to go out of the specific program. So we are really strengthening efficiency within the social safety net.
You were speaking about verification earlier. So what monitoring and verification systems do you have in place to make sure that 6 people in one house doesn't get, say for instance the pensioner gets it, there's an orphan in that house, and there's an unemployed mother in that house. What systems do you have in place to make sure that there are not this duplication in one house?
Okay, this is what I've just indicated, that we are moving into a space of integrated information system. So basically what that means is we will be able to do a close verification with different grants. We will be able to see if we get your ID number or your birth certificate number, we'll be able to see if this specific person is getting old age. We check with Veteran Affairs, we check with any other grants that, not just what the ministry is coordinating, but with other grants that are being implemented in the country. So this is really our plan to ensure that we don't also have double dipping or over targeting or somebody just getting more than while other people are not getting. So that's the space we are moving into.
An interesting thing is Namibia has been hit very hard by COVID-19 in the sense that people lost their lives, and especially vulnerable people from the vulnerable societies. So can you tell me, what if a mother in a house passed on that was on this grant? I mean the food bank distribution. How are you going to make sure that those children continue receiving it? How do people register or re-register?
Okay. When it's come to food bank specific, which we are now transforming into a conditional basic income grant, when it's come to how we do it, you have a main beneficiary and alternate. So this is really to take care of those issues. So if something happened to a main beneficiary, so the household have to come to us and inform us that this is what happened, and then the household choose if that alternate become the recipients of the grant or not. So we coordinate it.
Okay, so basically as a community, even community leaders, can they come to you and explain that this family is devastated, they need incentive? You've earlier said that new people will not be allowed on, but are there going to be exceptions?
Yeah, temporarily they will not be allowed on, but we are basically saying temporarily we are not doing a massive enrollment.
Yes.
Yeah. That is because we need to live within our program budget. Yeah. But then you see that there is movement on the program. maybe that specific family tells you, now we have employment, we are able to take care of ourselves. So that specific person goes out of the system, and then they will free up a space for the next person that need to be enrolled on the program.
Earlier when we started, you said that it was rolled out throughout the country, but I do know that some towns and villages are not, the pilot is, I mean, it was a pilot in the beginning, that some towns and villages did not benefit from the food bank. So how are you going to make sure, if you are not going to take people on at the beginning now, I mean new people, how are you going to make sure, say for instance, Okahanya has not received, hypothetically, Okahanya has not received because it's so close to Windhoek, and only on Chivarongo, yet we have a lot of people that need this intervention, this assistance in Okahanya. How are you going to work around that?
Okay, maybe also just to add more on that. The food bank target urban and peri-urban. So you will find it in all 14 regions, yes, but in urban and peri-urban yes. areas. Yeah? So when we now talk about social safety net, if the specific household comes up and they are in need of social assistance and they are not on the food bank, again, we have what we call child grant as well. If there's a children in that house, we then take up that case and put them, depending on the assessment that comes out. If they have met the criteria for the program, they have been taken on the child grant if they are children. If there's an elderly that also happen not also just to be on the old age, we take up that case. So we also see across different programs, social protection programs that we are implementing. Where does that specific household, where can we place that specific household so that we ensure we really assist that specific household? So it's not really just about conditional basic income grant, but it depends where else they can be placed within the social protection programs.
Okay, just for the benefit of the viewers, as I've said earlier, many people lost their jobs, so many people do not know how you can access, or in which instances you can access the grants, or the children's grants. So if my husband lost a job, I lost a job, there's no income, we are basically just sulai. Are we eligible to apply for a grant?
Okay, when it comes to child grant, again, we have different criteria for different children grants. So you have the OVCs, and then you have the one on where for example, the example that you're just talking about, in terms of the income, if you get less than 1,100 income, then you can apply for it. So yeah, so they you should just come to any of our office that is nearby you, and then you inquire more information on how which specific grant can possibly take care of your need.
So let's go for a break quickly, and then when we come back, we will delve deeper into exactly how this conditional basic income grant will be implemented and which target people will be targeted.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, welcome to another exciting edition.
Choose your flex package with Paratus today. Sign up for ultra-fast fiber with the convenience of mobile LTE. That's 2 products in one bundle. It's new, it's one bill, and you can stay connected in more than one location.
For more information, visit paratus.africa/NA.
Martha, please explain to us very broadly, how will this conditional basic income grant be implemented? And also with a high rise in youth unemployment, how can young people benefit, young people out of a job, young people out of school?
Okay. When it's come to the conditional basic income grant, we are going to implement on a gradual approach. So we will first have to start with the existing food bank beneficiary. What we are going to do is actually converting that the food bank program from the food parcel to cash, and then to move into a conditional basic income grant. And this will start in April 2022 this year. So now moving in the future, we would now only extend the conditional basic income grant after 3 years from now. Yeah. The reason we are only able to do that is because we are working on a budget cap for a program. We are unable to go above the budget program at this point in time due to financial difficulties. And now, as we are going to go after 3 years, what we are going to do is the conditional basic income grant will be rolled out to the people aged 19 to 59 that are living in poverty and are most vulnerable. The reason for this specific age category is really because at this point in time, we have a gap within our social safety net. So if you happen to be very poor and vulnerable, there is no social grant that we can place you on at this point in time if you are not a child and you are not a person with disability, or neither you are old age, because all those have age category for old age category for the child, and of course if you are not disability, so then there is a gap within the social safety net. So in future, moving in the future, conditional basic income grant also looks at addressing that existing gap that we are having.
Thank you very much for joining us, Martha, and for helping us flesh out these details.
Okay, thank you so much.